Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Awesome. So we've got 50, looks like we got people coming in here now, jumping in. The running a couple of minutes late. The internet went down right as we were logging on and getting everything set and ready to go. So for those of you that may not know, my name is J. Michael Manley, and I'm actually a Keller Williams Bold coach, and excited to be with you today, leading you through this millionaire real estate agent model for managing the MREA office. So as we'll do this, just so that everybody knows, we will actually, and I can see everybody that if you've got your video cameras turned on, I can see you. If not, that's okay. You do not have to leave them on. Would like to request for people to go in and as they are moving forward to actually go in and mute yourself if you're not talking. And there will be a place there that you can actually, if you move your mouse over your screen, you can actually go in and do a chat. So if you have any questions, we're going to open this up at the end for some questions and those kind of things. So what I'd like to start off with is some ground rules. And the ground rules are, number one, do your homework. So each week, I'm going to be doing homework, and I've got the homework set up on Google Drive. And so there will be a Google form that you will fill out for your homework each week. And so as soon as the webinar is over, I'll be sending out that link for everyone tonight so that you can go ahead and start with your homework. The other thing is make sure that you're you're present at the actual event and each one of these webinars that you're present, and that you're also free of distractions from the area. I'm actually in our video room here in the Market Center, and what I've got is I've got a sign on the door that says, please do not enter, that there is recording going on. The next thing is come with an open mind. We're gonna be covering some topics. One of them that we're gonna cover today is it's different. It's gonna seem out of the norm. It's gonna seem a little bit of not logical or a little bit over the top. And so I'm gonna ask for you to come each week with an open mind. And we'll go through these ground rules each week. And then the next thing is feel free at the end of this webinar to actually come through and ask questions. See, I know I've got it scheduled from 4 to 5 today, Eastern Standard Time. Yet here's the thing, if you've got some questions, I'm gonna hang around and I'm gonna answer them for you. Okay? Because I desire for everybody to get the maximum value from these webinars. So here's what we're going to learn over the next 6 weeks. So over the next 6 weeks, we're going to help you design, create, and implement some business systems. Whoop, whoop, right? And so that's the kind of the cool part of this, that will also increase your productivity as an admin or as a mega agent. We're also going to help you move you from if you're operating at an entrepreneurial level, and I will say that we all are operating at an entrepreneurial level at some capacity. We're going to be moving you from that entrepreneurial to being more purposeful in everything that we're doing. The next thing is we're going to help you using your 411 come up with a goal. Now, some people's eyes just kind of rolled back in their head and going, oh, 411. No, here's the thing, is that I understand that 411 is a challenge sometimes, especially in the admin role. Yet you've got financial things that you desire to do as well. And so we're going to go through that with the financial. We're going to go through that on the job role. We're going to go through that in your business so that you're working not only on your business, you're working in your business as well. And we're going to do that through a 411. The next thing is we're going to teach you how to play red light, green light. See, because a lot of times we implement systems, and when we implement systems, we're not the ones out in the field actually running those systems. And so sometimes they don't work exactly how they're supposed to. So we need to play red light, green light, just like Gary tells us to do, tells all the mega agents to do. They're play red light, green light in everything that they do. So here's the thing. Here's the piece. So as we go through this, let's prepare. Let's prepare how to do a red light, green light. And then the last thing is we're going to teach you how to actually prepare to recruit talent. Now that's pretty cool, because as the admin, guess what? You do get to prepare. You do get to prepare to recruit talent as well, because you're going to have new admins and those kind of things that are going to be coming on. And so, as you got new admins, closing coordinators, different admins, and transaction coordinators, you're going to be part of this. You're going to be part of this. All right. So introductions. So here's what I'd like for everybody to do. In your workbook today, turn to page number 7. Page number 7 in your workbook. Now, when you get to page number 7 in your workbook today, and I've sent out I sent out an email this afternoon, and it's got several attachments. So let me tell you what attachments are on there. Number 1, you've got the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Ops Manual. Now, I will tell you that when I found this thing, it is absolutely amazing. It's amazing at how much it actually has in there, and it will help you. Now, here's the thing. It was written back in 2004. And so some of it may not have completely applied to today, yet the actual gist of how we're actually doing it is going to be so powerful. So powerful for you. So let me ask you a question. On page number 7, what are some of your in your business, in your company right now, what are some of your issues that you're having, your system issues? And that could be anything from tracking numbers to completing business and buyer packets. What are some of the issues that you right now, as the mega agent millionaire office, what are some of the challenges that you're having right now? So write that down on your sheet. Write that down on your sheet. We're going to come back to that. All right. So let's go to chapter 1. Now, chapter 1, this is your job description. As a millionaire, I know I've got some mega agents on here that are looking to hire admins. And I know I've got some admins on here that may be closing coordinators, that may be marketing directors, or you may actually be running a mega agent team already. And so as we're going through this, let's look at your job description. So we're right there at the start of chapter 1. Your job description, it's what is your role? What are you supposed to be doing? Okay, so if there's somebody that doesn't have any of the packet, just know that I'll send it out for everybody that was registered. So we had 174 people registered for this event. And so I'll be sending that out again, just so that everybody will have that as well. Check your spam filters to see if any of the packets have gone to your spam filter, those kind of things, because I did send it back out this afternoon as well. So what is the role of the marketing and administrative manager? Well, number one, and this is the most powerful thing, is that your job is to actually develop and maintain systems. Okay? Now, develop and maintain systems. As we're looking at this, I would like to go through and talk about, because in your book, right before we get to chapter 1, it actually talks about the pathway to the 7th level. Now, when I go through this, I'm actually going to kind of talk about a little bit of a piece, and your business may be slightly different. See, when I'm talking about what we're talking about here, we're talking about the model. And so some things may be, your business may be run slightly different. You may be in a different spot. Your mega agent may be even running it slightly different. The key is to remember that all of this is a model, and the model is a pathway to get to somewhere. So you may be taking a little bit of pieces, a little bit of shortcuts, a little bit of different things, different places. And so with that, on that 7th level, on that pathway to the 7th level, you've got to realize that everything may not be exactly as how your business is running right now, and that's okay. That's okay. So on the pathway, here's how the pathway to the mega agent, the 7th level, works. Number 1 is it's an agent. And an agent is actually out there, they're buying and helping people sell. And so they're working, and they're working hard. And they realize that at some point, they may need some help. And that's where the assistant comes in. Now the model talks about on step 1, it's just the agent. On step 2, we talk about hiring an admin, and that's the very first hire that we have. Now the admin, in all honesty, is supposed to, 60% of what the mega agent does poorly is paperwork. I mean, I'll be honest, it's paperwork. I'm right there with you. It's paperwork. It's the 60% of our job role that we do poorly as a mega agent. And then from there, when they hire the admin is to take that 60% of their job of that the agent is doing poorly, the paperwork, and handle that for the mega agent. And so as they're handling that for the mega agent, here's what the mega agent has to realize. This is not where the mega agent can now go, woohoo, I get to go home early. I got admin support now. It's not what this is for. See, what the mega agent did, he or she, what they've just done is they've just bought some time back to go and lead generate more, to go on more appointments. And as they go on more appointments, guess what? That as the EA and the mega agent admin, you're gonna start to feel some pressure, and that's okay, because the mega agent is supposed to be actually sending as much to that EA as possible. Now we got somebody talking in the background, and so if you could please mute yourself. It looks like maybe Kathy Simpson, please mute yourself. And so I'm not calling anybody out to, it's the name that I can see up here. So I'm not looking to be judgmental. It just is, let's just kind of, so that everybody can hear and everything. So here, when we're hiring that admin and they're taking 60% of the job role. So I always kind of go through and say, this is what the agent and the admin's role would look like in the morning. The agent comes in, the EA says, here is your call log for today. Here's all the people you need to call. When the mega agent then locks themselves in a room and starts calling all of those people. When the mega agent walks out of that room, when they finish lead generating, they hand that list to the EA. The EA is the person that will enter all that information down through the database, or what we're going to call as the data bank. And then from there, once they've gotten that, the EA is going to hand the mega agent their files for that day and say, here's your files, go get them. And the mega agent's going to leave the office. And then the mega agent's going to come back after all their appointments. It may be the next morning, or it may be that afternoon, and say, here's all the files. I've listed 5 properties today. I had 5 appointments, and here's all 5 of them. They're all signed, ready to go. And they're going to hand it back over to the EA, and the EA is going to handle them. And then from there, the mega agent's going to come back in the next morning, and they're going to say, all right, here's what I've got. Where's my list? They're going to go in the room. They're going to start calling the list that the EA provides them. And then when the EA provides them that list, they're going to come out of that room. When they finish lead generating for the day, they're going to hand the list of here's all the appointments I've booked. Here's everything that needs to go in the data bank. Here's everything that needs to go there. The EA will take that and hand the mega agent their files for that day. The mega agent will go out and work those files, get them all assigned, bring them back. And that's how it will work. Now, here's the cool part on this. Who's going to get stressed out more faster? In all honesty, the EA is going to get stressed out more. And so you're going to need some help. You're going to need some help. And so that's where the third step of the pathway to Millionaire Real Estate Agent is at. And that's when the EA gets their first piece of leverage. And the EA hires what we call a closing coordinator, or a transaction coordinator, is how it's talked about in your book. This is not where the mega agents goes, we've got leads falling through the part, we've got to hire a buyer's agent. See, because the 60% of the mega agent's job that they're doing poorly is the paperwork, and then you're going to go and hire someone else that the 60% of their job that they're doing poorly is a buyer's agent, and then now the admin is going to be handling all of this. And so that's why the admin has got to have leverage next. And so that's why you hire a closing coordinator or a transaction coordinator next. Now, at this point, when the transaction coordinator is actually out there and they've now been added into the system, the EA is going to train that closing coordinator how to actually do that role. And so as the closing coordinator is handling that role and they're working it and going through, What you just did is you took the executive assistant and gave them some more bandwidth to go and do some more things. Well, what are they going to do with that extra time that they're getting? This is the key, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to now go out and start documenting every single system of how every single piece of paperwork moves. Now, the EA, notice I said that the EA is the one that's actually creating the systems, not the mega agent. The mega agent will cause the systems to melt if they create them. And so as you're doing this, and the EA is now going and actually creating these systems, who gets to test the systems? Ladies and gentlemen, the mega agent is the one that gets to test the systems. And so when they get to test the systems, here's what happens. They go, you know what? This form, it didn't work this way. I didn't like that piece. Can we change that? Does that have to be there? Can we move it? They don't fix it. The EA is the one that fixes it. Okay? And then from there, they keep testing the systems until they've just got the systems 100% down. They've got their operation manual. They've got every single form that they need. They've got it all, ladies and gentlemen. And so as they've got that, now that person is ready to go and hire someone else. And they've got a decision. The decision is to go and hire what's called an ISA, an inside sales agent, and we'll use this term congruently with an outside sales agent as well. So someone that's going to go and do some lead generation for them when they're on appointments. The ISA or the OSA is going to be generating leads for them while they're out on appointments. They're still lead generating in the morning. This was not an opportunity for the mega agent to go, woo, I'm done, check it out, woohoo, I'm just going on appointments and let's go, right? No, the mega agent is going to be lead generating to their database, their data bank. And as they're doing that, then the ISA or the OSA will actually be doing some lead generation while they're on the appointments in the afternoon. Now, the other opportunity that you've got that you could hire is you could hire as a buyer's agent. And at that point, the mega agent would hand off the buyers to the buyer's agent. Now, here's what happens. You hire that first buyer's agent, and when you hire the first buyer's agent, they go, oh, yeah, I'm not sure I like that piece of paperwork. And so you start second guessing your systems because you didn't have the systems in place 100% and actually tested them before you hired the buyer's agent. And so now the systems just start to get to be a mush if you don't fix the systems and have the mega agent test the systems first. And so when the mega agent's going out there and they're testing the systems, now you've hired this buyer agent and they go, yeah, I don't like that paperwork. I'm not going to fill that out. Or, that residential data form, I think that the EA should fill that out. And the mega agent can go, no, I've been testing these systems for the last month, 2 months, 3 months, and they work. This is how we're going to run this business. See, because I know that when you follow these models, you're going to be able to run faster. It seems like it's slowing you down right now. Yet what it's going to do is as you start to scale your business, these systems, these models are going to cause you to run faster. You're going to slow down to speed up. And that's a big, big part of that. That's a big, big part of that. All right. So let's jump back over to where we're talking about your role. We're talking about your role. Because from there, that's pretty much where we're at on this series of webinars. So let's talk about some of the other things. We said your number one thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be developing and maintaining those systems. Part of that is you're gonna have to be prepared to work with multiple systems. Some of you may be coming from other industries where you had one system and it was all built in one platform and you could do everything within one platform. Unfortunately, in real estate, it's not the case. You may have .loop, you may have Gmail, you may have Google Docs, you may have Dropbox, you may have Boomtown, you may have eEdge, you may have all of these systems. And so you're having to go into multiple places to find everything that you need and work through all of this stuff. And so you got to realize that you're going to have to be managing multiple systems as you get scalable. And the goal is to make it simple so that you can move through these systems as quickly as possible. Next thing is you're actually going to be working with the buyers. You're going to be creating those buyer packets. You're going to be creating systems for buyers and buyers agents. And if you're looking where you're at in the MREA ops manual, so there's an ops manual that I emailed out today as well, that's on chapter 8. Chapter 8 of that Millionaire Real Estate Agent Ops Manual is going to cover all the systems and all the forms that you need for maintaining buyers. Sellers, you're going to be maintaining the seller systems as well. And so Chapter 7 of the MREA Ops Manual, that's where all of the forms, all the pieces that you're going to need are going to be right there on Chapter 7 of the MREA Ops Manual. Now, the next thing, lead generation systems. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to be, as the executive assistant managing a Millionaire Real Estate Agent office, you're going to be managing the lead generation systems. Notice I didn't say the lead generation. You're going to be managing the lead generation systems. See, because as you're managing the lead generation systems, what does that mean? Well, you're pulling the call list every day for your agents to call. Because ladies and gentlemen, I know as a mega agent that agent is going to walk in, and they're going to sit down at their desk and they're going to go, who do I call today? Yeah, I'm going to call this person. And it just doesn't work. You got to give them, because their squirrels will start running across their desk and they'll be petting squirrels and pulling them nuts by the end of the day. Let's see. All right. And so as they're petting squirrels and running through it and handling all of that, you got to realize that those squirrels are going to happen in their life no matter what. And so you got to be prepared for that. And the best way to be prepared for that is to give them a list every day of who they're going to be calling. And it's powerful when we get there. You're also going to be maintaining the data bank. When you're maintaining the data bank, as you're maintaining this data bank, you got to realize that as you're maintaining, it is the data bank. See, I coach Bold, and when we coach Bold, we talk about building a database and giving yourself 4 years and 9 months to actually become a mega agent, a millionaire real estate agent. See, because we got to be growing that database. And if I leave it up to the mega agent to actually put the information in there, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's not going to happen. They're going to mistype somebody's email address. They're going to mistype somebody. And I'm not downplaying on the millionaire real estate agent. We've got our strengths. I mean, you throw us into somebody's living room, and we have the ability to come out with a form that's signed and ready to go, and they're trusting us to handle their $500,000 listing. Yet the I's and T's dotted and crossed, that's just, in most of our cases, not the strong suit. So here's the next part. You got to ensure that all these systems are running smoothly. You got to ensure that all these systems are running smoothly across it. You also have your next piece is your operations manual. Now I've sent you a bare bones, the back of a, and I shouldn't say bare bones, I've sent you a pretty strong one in the MREA Ops manual. See, there's every chapter that's in there, you could actually do this. You could actually do every chapter and just implement a chapter every month or implement a chapter every 2 months, whatever works for you. The next part is that you are the first point of contact. Now, this is going to scare some of you, yet you are the first point of contact for customer complaints. And we're going to cover how to do this and some ways to make this work. Yet you're the number one point of contact for customer complaints. The next thing is that you're responsible for finding, training, and leading all administrative staffs. And notice I did not say managing, I said leading. People always prefer to be led versus managed. And so you're responsible for leading those administrative support staff, finding and training them. Because here's the thing, you're actually taking this and you're becoming not just the EA, you're becoming the executive, the assistant executive. And when you're becoming that assistant executive, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to need to know how to train people. You're going to need to know how to lead people. And you're also going to need to know how to find talent. Because there's plenty of talent out there. Plenty of talent out there. It's where are you looking, and do you know what to say when you do find them? Now, we've kind of gone through the pathway to the 7 levels of success as you're walking through that millionaire real estate agent model and moving up there. Let's move on to chapter 2. Chapter 2. Now, this is where I think I might get a little bit of pushback on this. Yet, here's the thing. Do you have a standard way of answering the phones? See, because on communication, when we're managing communication, we've actually got several different ways of communication. Number one is verbal. And see, phones are a huge, huge part of this. Phones are a huge part of what we do in the real estate industry. And so when you answer the phone, when the people on your team answer the phone, are they answering the phone the same way every single time? And so as we ask this and say, are we answering the phones the same way every single time? What does that mean? Well, if you've listened to your director of first impressions at your front desk, you know that they say, it's a great day at Keller Williams. How may I help you? So in the manual, it actually says in your workbook that you've got there, it actually says it's a great day at Keller Williams. Thank you for calling the J. Michael Manley team. How may I help you? See, what is it that you're saying? I'm not saying that you've got to say it exactly like that, yet you got to have something that sets you apart. How many people have ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? They have a script when you walk. When you say thank you, their script is my pleasure. And it doesn't matter which Chick-fil-A you go into, you're going to get my pleasure. See, I love it. My pastor at church on Sunday, he's like, I always see how I can say my pleasure before they get the opportunity and they just don't know what to do, right? And so here's as you're looking at this, are you answering the phones the standard way? Not just the admin. Yeah, what about your agents? Are they answering the phones the exact same way every single time? Now, the next thing is, do you have a voicemail for every single one of your agents? See, because here's what I find. Most people today do not listen to their voicemails. Yet, could your voicemail be a Google phone, and that Google phone actually transcribes the voicemail? And so they'll read it, yeah, they may never play it. And so make sure that everybody on your team has their own voicemail. And you can do that through Google Phones is one way. We use Better Voice as a company that we use as well. There are tons of phone systems out there, Ring Central, those kind of things. And just know that if you're doing it over voice over IP, ladies and gentlemen, it does take a lot of bandwidth. And so if you're in an office that may already struggle in the afternoon with some bandwidth issues, you may have to actually go and get your own server and your own pieces on that. And so that can get pretty pricey, whereas you could actually just do a Google Voice line and manage it all through a Google Voice line. So that's one opportunity you got there. Now, taking messages. This is one that I'm telling you, it's so powerful, yet it's a small piece that we actually miss in most cases. Do we have a standard way that we're taking messages? Do we have a standard way that we're actually getting those messages to the other people? See, I mean, it could be as simple as just having an actual sheet that actually says on there. And you know, those old books where it was a carbon copy and you could pull it off and put it on their desk, or take a picture of it and text it to them saying, hey, you just got a message, send it to them. Make sure that they confirm they get the messages. Make sure they confirm that they get the messages. It's a powerful piece, and it's a powerful part of the system that most of us are missing, that we're thinking we're sending a message to someone and they're not actually receiving it. And so make sure that they confirm that they've gotten the message. Now, another thing, voicemail for admins and your agents. Admins and your agents, and this does include the mega agent, okay? Voicemail, how often are you checking your voicemail? See, the book actually recommends that you've got there in front of you. It says that you should call them. You could check your voicemail in the morning. First thing in the morning, come in and check your voicemail. All right. Now, your agents, we don't desire for them to check their voicemail first thing in the morning, and we do desire for them to check it right after lead generation time. And then, are you checking it after lunch? When you get back from lunch, are you actually checking your voicemail after lunch? And then maybe 30 minutes before you leave in the evening, are you checking your voicemail one more time? So that you're actually handling all of that and making sure that all of that works forward. Now, here's a standard that we have, and it's standard in the book, is that you need to return your calls within 2 hours. See, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the customer service business, and as we're in the customer service business, I could actually take a letter right now, and as long as I get it to FedEx Kinko's within the next say before 7 p.m. tonight, tomorrow I could have that letter sitting in China. Tomorrow I could have that letter sitting in China before 8 p.m. It's going to cost me, yet it can be done. And so I ask you, why aren't we returning emails and why aren't we returning voicemails in less than 24 hours? And so here's the thing. The standard I would suggest that most people stick to is less than 2 hours. It's within that 2-hour window to make sure that all voicemails are returned within 2 hours. All right, handling complaints. Now this is one where I know it gets a little bit of a challenge, those kind of things. And so as you're looking at handling the complaints, somebody's calling you and they just immediately unload. As a mega agent, I had this happen 2 Sundays ago. I got a text message at 11 p.m. it was 11 p.m. And so the text message said, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And that's all it said. All right. And so I texted the guy back and I said, "Hey, how can I help you?" And this is 11 p.m. at night. And so when I'm helping him, and he's like, and I said, "I tell you what, why don't we do this? Let's schedule a call. I know it's on a Sunday. Let's schedule a call. I get out of church, at 10:15, and would that work for you?" And he's like, "Yes, that will work." So the next morning at 10:15, I call him up, get out of church. And I literally said, "Hey, Les, this is J. Michael Manley. I was giving you a call back. We had an appointment at 10:15, and I desired to give you a call at 10:15 on the dot." And he just started unloading for 23 minutes. He unloaded on me. I might, other than this, just the entry of who I was, only thing else I said for 23 minutes was, yeah, yep, yep. See, I was actually listening to him. And so you got to listen carefully to the caller. And that's the very first thing when you're handling complaints is listen carefully to the caller. All right. And so as you go on to the next piece there, you got to ask questions to clarify. So ask questions to clarify. And so when we're asking questions to clarify, let's talk about what are some of the questions that we get asked to clarify. So what we would say is, what I'm hearing you say is, and then restate what they actually just said. And so this way you're truly getting a clear understanding of what their actual complaint is. Now the next piece is that you've got to actually solve their challenge. And so when this guy finished with 23 minutes of just going off, I said, "You know what? What could I do to make you whole?" And you know what he actually said? "Nothing. I'm good." He just desired to let somebody listen to him. He desired to have somebody hear his complaint. And a lot of times you could actually hear it in his voice. When he was talking, he knew that his complaint was actually ridiculous. And so, yet I just listened to him. That's all I did. I listened to him. I acknowledged. Then I asked some clarifying questions. And then I said, "What can I do to make you whole?" Actually solve the problem. Now, if that doesn't work, because it won't with all of them, you may need to escalate it up to your mega agent and have your mega agent give them a call. And if the mega agent can't solve it, guess what? It may need to go to the broker in charge. Yet the key is that we actually listen. Here's what I desire for you to understand. And I think Gary Keller tells us this the best. Feedback, ladies and gentlemen, is the breakfast of champions. That's a quote straight from Gary Keller. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. And so when we're looking at feedback being the breakfast of champions, when somebody's calling and complaining, it's just feedback so that we can get better. You've got to be looking at it is feedback so that you can get better, so that your company can get better, so that the corporation that you work for can get better. All right, next piece. Let's break this on down to the next piece, mail. Most of you are probably not handling massive amounts of mail. So most of you you've probably created a system that works for you, in all honesty, that works. And we're not going to talk much about mail because you've probably already gotten a system, a model that actually works. Now, here's the key. If you do have a more elaborate system, is it actually written down so that if somebody comes in when you're out, or if your closing coordinator is taking over your role while you're gone on vacation, are they actually able to follow that model? Now, here's where I really like to focus on emails. Most of us are sending emails nowadays, and that's kind of where we're at. So do you have a general email that's for your team, for your mega agent? Do you have a general email? And it may be service@JMM Team like ours is, or it could be info@JMM Team, or whatever your team is. Now, the other part of email is that your emails, a lot of times we have a tendency to say, oh, I'm going to do an email, and I'm going to do it, I'm going to set up it in Google Apps, and I'm going to do Chelsea@JMMTeam.com. Well, Chelsea may be your closing coordinator. And so if you do Chelsea@JMMTeam.com and Chelsea leaves and that email goes down, guess what happens? All that email goes down with it. And so I suggest setting up general emails for your actual administrative roles. So you could have EA@JMMTeam.com, or you could have closings@JMMTeam.com, listings@JMMTeam.com, buyers@JMMTeam.com. Now your agents, yes, they're going to have some general, they're going to have their names because they need to put a face to a name when they're emailing people. And so they're going to have their names. And then you can just transfer that email system to somebody else when somebody else comes on. Now emails should be checked every hour, minimum every hour. See, here's the thing. A lot of times we end up checking emails all the time. You have your email on in the background, and it's constantly going, it sounds like the news on Sunday nights, when we were growing up, of all these notifications. And every time you get one of those notifications, it's taking you off of your game. You're like, ooh, what was that? Ooh, what was that? Ooh, is that squirrel? And so closing your email down and only checking it every single hour. All right. Now, so as we go through this, and I see some people are putting in some questions in here, and those are great. I'm going to answer those questions for you. We're going to do it at the end. The next piece of the things that you've got to manage, or that you get to manage as far as communication, is actually meetings and events. Now, do you have a standard weekly or bi-weekly meeting, or bi-monthly meeting? So minimum bi-monthly, meaning that you're meeting every other week, twice a month, okay? Or you're meeting every week. What is it? What is that meeting? And making sure that your people are coming to that meeting. Now, there's actual agenda in there that goes from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Ops Manual that's in there that we've sent out. So let me ask you a question. Sometimes we have a tendency to call these team meetings. And when we call them team meetings, what ends up happening is when we call them team meetings, they're not purposeful enough. When we call them sales meetings, then from there, and we start talking about numbers, the agents are prepared for it because it's a sales word. And so they're prepared for us talking about numbers. In a team meeting, sometimes when we start talking about numbers, their eyes gloss over, roll back in their head, and they're like, oh, not again. I just want to help people, right? And so, making sure that we're calling a team meeting or a sales meeting, whatever works best for you. No more than an hour long. And that's key. Make sure you have an agenda, yet be flexible with that agenda. So when you're talking about being flexible with this agenda, if somebody starts sharing or somebody has a challenge and they bring it up, make sure that you've got the opportunity there, that they're actually having that opportunity to speak. Because you never desire to have anybody kind of, come through here and really, really feel like they've been slighted and not been able to voice their concerns. Okay? Now, next piece. I always suggest starting with good music. Have Imagine Dragons playing in the background. That's kind of my favorite music. And so have something that's upbeat. Have some dance music that's upbeat, so that when people come in, they're already starting to feel that transfer of energy of the music being at a higher level, and the music, the beats per minute, just being at a little bit higher level. Okay. Now, if everybody on your team loves country, just put some upbeat country music on there. Just don't put any, something that's just going to drag people down and like, oh, here we go again. Get the energy up, get the meeting up, get it starting off and kicking off at the top level. Then you're immediately going to go into what we call the gratitude section, or the 10s, and this is, we as bowl coaches, we actually do what we call fill the buckets. So every time we do our conference call on Fridays, the bowl coaches, we do what we call fill the buckets. So are you going through and allowing people to share their gratitudes for the week and fill the buckets for other people on the team? Maybe even for your vendors as well. Are they sharing buckets? Tell me something good. That's right. So what is it? Share that gratitude. Share that gratitude. Now, the next piece is the attitude and inspirational moment. And we're looking at an attitude and inspirational moment. Are you truly in an inspirational moment? Are you giving them, something that you're reading from a book? Are you giving them something that you're watching a video, maybe a motivational video or an inspirational video? Are you truly doing something that brings up the attitude, the inspiration within the team before you get started? Now, the next piece is that you're going to come down to reports. This is where you're going to start reports into your team meeting or your sales meeting. And when we're starting reports, you're going to start with your buyer report. What are we reporting? Well, number one, how many buyer's agents agreements did we get in the last 7 days? How many of those did we put under contract, and how many of those did we close? And how big of a gap, this is the key part, how big of a gap do we still need to hit our goal? See, because a lot of times we have no clue what our gap is, and we're missing out because nobody knows what we need to hit. They're just living entrepreneurially and going through there. The next thing is your seller team. Seller team, how many appointments, how many listings, how many under contracts, and how many closed? All right, and then what's our gap to hit our goal? What's our gap to hit our goal? If the gap on the 15th is starting to show up for the 15th of the month, you can actually go into what we call the 15th protocol. 15th protocol is where everybody has a defined set of actions that they're going to go to on the 15th if they're behind on their goal for the month. That means I got one team that they're actually doing 21 more contacts per week to actually hit their goal. That was it, 21 more contacts. Some of you may be that you need to make 100 contacts in your team. Whatever it is, you got to know those numbers. And the only way to do that is to know your gap and know your gap each week. Now, the next piece is going to be your marketing team report. How many views have we been getting on these properties? Is this property not getting a number of views that we needed to do this? Are we seeing, here's what the marketing pieces that are going out. Here's the emails that are going out this week. This is huge because the buyer's agents are going to sometimes be responding to those emails. And as they're responding to those emails, guess what? As they're responding to those emails and they don't know what email that was sent out, they're going to melt. They're going to go, what do I say back? And so let them know what you're actually sending out every single week, or what the admin team is sending out from the marketing department. And then lastly is closing reports. And this is where you really got to focus on the gap. Where are our closings at? How many do we need? How many do we need to have under contract at all times? And then the last piece here is, or I shouldn't say the last piece yet, the next piece is that you got to have an educational moment. Do you truly have an educational moment? See, and this is on our team, this is where somebody may say, what's the biggest challenge you're having with getting people under contract this week, or getting buyers to come into the office this week? And then we'll role play it. We'll role play it right in there in the team meeting. And so one of the leaders will actually play the agent, and then one of the agents that's having the challenge, they'll actually play the buyer or the seller. And then we'll switch so that everybody gets an opportunity to actually role play that. You got to have the role play pieces there, the educational pieces. Then you also cover life events, anniversaries, birthdays, all of those things, babies being announced, those kind of things. So have an opportunity there for you actually have the opportunity to show gratitude to the people that are on your team. See, we actually have everybody fill out a form, and it says what's their favorite restaurant, what's their favorite dessert, and then we'll actually on their birthday bring their favorite dessert into the team meeting. And so, somebody may like chocolate cake, or somebody might like ho-hos, and then we just bring everybody on ho-hos for their birthday. Whatever it is, make sure that it's good for them, because you're coming from contribution that way. We've have some people on the team that have had gluten-free allergies, and so we'd go into the best bakery in town that has gluten-free cakes and make sure that when we have cake for that person, it's gluten-free so that they get to partake in the cake that week. And so just taking that understanding to that next level. Now, you're also responsible for maintaining community events and organizing community events. And so when we're looking at this, community events and client appreciation events, and you're like, oh my Lord, we're only on chapter 2 and I've got all of this stuff I've got to do. And yet here's the key. Our goal is to make this as purposeful as possible so that you're not losing out. You're not losing out. So you're going to be responsible for community events, client events, sending a list of events to your community. So this is part of your homework. And in your form, it's actually we're going to share some ideas of what you can do for community events and client appreciation events. What are some things that you can do? And you can put that on the form, and we'll share them next week as a whole. Now we're on to chapter 3. Chapter 3 of Managing the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Now, as we're looking at Managing the Millionaire Real Estate Agent's office, there's files. I mean, raise your hand. I mean, I'm sure you've got some files that you've got to deal with, right? You get to deal with, is what I always like to say. And so you got buyer files, you got seller files, you got buyer closed files, you got seller closed files, you've got employee files, you got business files that are archived, you got business files that are active. And so as you're going through all of this, know that this is a way that you can set up your filing system. Buyers, sellers, buyers closed, buyers, sellers closed, employee files, active employee files, and archived employee files. And then you've got business files that are active, and you've got business files that may be archived. Okay, so that's just a way to set up your filing system, because you're going to have some paper. Now, you may upload all of that into a system and put it in Google Drive, or even put it into Dropbox, whatever works for you, maybe even Evernote, those kind of things. Yeah, whatever works for you, make sure that you've got a filing system and you're setting it up. Buyer, seller, buyer, closed, seller, closed, and then you've got business files, employee files, and all of that in there so that you're maintaining and tracking that. All right, next piece on down is managing the Millionaire Real Estate Agents database, or data bank. And I'm going to call it a data bank because, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're all working forward to, is to all be working for that referral business. It's the easiest and most profitable business that's out there. So this is going to be on chapter 1 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agents Ops Manual, is going to be where you're actually going to maintain that database, how to set up the database. Do you have it set up by allied resources, people that have actually given you a referral? Right? These are people that love you. I call them sneezers. They will go out there and they will sneeze on the whole world about you. Go with Jimmy. Go with Jimmy. And so they are the sneezers. They're the ones that are actually sending you business and sending you referrals. When you're coming into the database, make sure that you're using what we call lead sheets. Now, I'm going to send out some forms so that you can be able to download, and it's a buyer lead sheet and a seller lead sheet. I'm sure you can find different ways of all of using this. Yet make sure that your agents are actually filling out your lead sheets, and give them some extra to put in their car. Give them some extra to put beside their toilet. Actually get it to a situation where they're actually using lead sheets. If they go, hey, here's somebody for the database, and they hand you a business card, go, I appreciate that you're adding someone to the database. Yet can you please put that information on the lead sheet? Because the lead sheet's going to jog their memory a little bit more and ask them some more questions than what's just on that business card. All right? So make sure that your buyer's agents and your listing agents are using lead sheets. I had a call come in yesterday. It was a referral. Called them back. They said, hey, this person told me to give you a call. First thing I did is before I returned the call, as I started going and looking for a lead sheet, and I realized my team was out of buyer lead sheets. And so we went and had to change a listing lead sheet in, and I told my EA, said, hey, we need some buyer lead sheets, we're out. What that tells me is that people probably are not using them. They let them run out. They were using them until the point that they ran out, and then nobody continued to use them. And so make sure that they're very, very powerful when you use them. Yeah, and so let's come on down. Additions to the database. A lot of the additions will be made during the lead generation process. I understand that, and that's okay. We're going to be taking the notes, when to follow up. Hey, did I call him? Did I contact him? What did I say? Hey, I saw on Facebook that your child was at dance, or that when I called them, they were leaving to go to dance or dance recital. And then when you call them back time, you say, hey, how was your daughter's dance recital? Because you got the notes in the database. Most of that's going to be happening at the agent level. Now, when it comes to actually adding people to the database, make sure the lead sheets come to the EA, and the EA and the admin team are the ones that are actually handling that. For us, that's handled by a virtual assistant. The virtual assistant actually maintains the full database. They're the ones that enter people in. They're the ones that set the campaigns. They're the ones that do all of that, and our lead sheets tell that virtual assistant what to do. And so at the end of the day, the admin collects all the lead sheets, puts them in the scanner, scans them to the virtual assistant. The virtual assistant goes ahead and enters everybody into the database, and it's all set and done for you, right? And so you got to have that lead sheet. Got to have that lead sheet. The next piece here, cleaning the database. Some of us have not maintained our database very well, and I understand it happens. There's no judgment around that. We've all done it. I raised my hand as well. And so as we're maintaining the database and cleaning up the database, minimal every 2 years, you need to be cleaning up your database. Okay, now a lot of this could come over to the administrative role and lead generation time is calling and actually saying, hey, we're having a drawing for a free Yeti cooler. And all we're going to do is that to get the free Yeti cooler to be entered for the drawing for the free Yeti cooler, hey, can we get your updated information? Do we have your correct telephone number, correct email address? Because we're going to be notifying the winner of the Yeti cooler via your contact information. And so we need to make sure we got the contact information updated. It's just an easy way to get that database cleaned up every 2 years. All right. Next thing, also make sure that you're maintaining a vendor database. Who are your vendors that you're using? Do you have a copy of that vendor's insurance? This is a big key. So when your vendors are coming in and they're actually working in your clients' houses, do you have a copy of that vendor's insurance? Because see, guess what? You got somebody that's in the attic and they step through the attic and then they leave, and the homeowner comes home and they're like, what happened? Somebody stepped through our attic. They're going to call you. And when they call you, they say, we haven't been able to get back in touch with this company and they stepped through our attic. You've got a copy of their insurance right there so that you can start reaching out to them that way. And I would guarantee you they will call you back when you call their insurance company, ladies and gentlemen. It will happen. The other thing is maintaining your equipment maintenance records. You're like, whoa, J. Michael, this is like crazy, right? Yet when you're working with your equipment, man, so like for us, we have, a Margaritaville margarita machine that we lend out to our clients. Do you know how often that stuff needs to be maintained? Did it come back clean? Who has it? Are you maintaining that? This even goes down to lock boxes and signs. Are each one of your signs numbered? So that if number 12 goes missing, you know which agent to go check and say, hey, you didn't go pick up number 12. It's still out there somewhere. And your lot boxes are numbered. Are you tracking your lot boxes? Or are you just handing a $115 lot box out to an agent and they've got 5 or 10 of them sitting in their garage because they leave them in the back of the car, and then whenever the whole family has to go somewhere, they pull them out, put them in the garage, and forget about them. And then they come in 3 weeks later and go, hey, I need a lot box. And now that agent's got 3, 4, 20 lot boxes sitting in the garage, and you've got $1,000 worth of equipment sitting over in somebody's garage. Employee contacts. How often are you updating your employee contacts? Every time you hire someone new, we actually use a Google sheet, a Google site called an intranet, and we've actually built that out in an intranet in the Google Docs. Okay, so if you go to Google, the 9 boxes that are up in the top right-hand corner, click on that and then click on more and then click even more. You're going to come to a part that says sites. And there you can actually build out a website for that. And you can actually maintain all of your clients' databases in there. Publications, listing flyers. Are you using listing flyers? Not saying you have to, you're just saying if you are using them, do you have a system for that? Promotional items, buyer packets, listing packets, the 33 touch mailings. Do you have a system for that? And then your closing gifts. We're going to cover each one of these pieces more in depth as we go through this series of webinars, because next we're going to be, I believe it's going to contract to close next, MREA contract to close. We're going to handle servicing listings. We're going to handle servicing buyers. And we're also going to go through that full Millionaire Real Estate Agent Ops Manual as well. And do you have closing gift? Do you have a system for your closings gifts? Now, we've got 4 minutes before 5, and yet, like I said, I will stay here to continue to answer questions. So I'm just going to scroll through. If anybody would like to talk, just kind of unmute yourself. I love all the participation that's going on in here. Let's see here. How will this path work with the new Millionaire Real Estate Agent that's coming out? Ladies and gentlemen, it's not changing much. Step 3 and step 4 is where it starts to get, or actually step 4 is where it starts to get a little bit of a changing of hiring the ISA versus the buyer's agent, those kind of things. Yet those first 3 steps are not going to change. It's still going to be the agent, the admin, and then the transaction coordinator or closing coordinator that's going to be next in line. Those 3 are not going to change, ladies and gentlemen. It's key because if you don't do that right, what's going to end up happening, it's going to end up costing you in profitability because people will still be operating entrepreneurially and not operating purposefully when you're actually scaling your business and doing 150 to 200 transactions or even more. Let's see here. Come on down. Love the data bank. I'm telling you, data bank, it's where all your money is housed, ladies and gentlemen. Your future money, I should say. All right. Thank you. The agent is the tester, not the creator or the fixer. That's exactly right. You as the admin are the ones that control the systems. The agent is the actual tester of the systems. Let's see, I'm an EA from a team, have 2 buyers agents, team leader, property manager, no contract to close coordinator. Should I hire that? Yes, so get with your mega agent and start working on a game plan to get a closing coordinator in there as soon as possible. You may have to outsource it for a little bit and hire a company to come in and help you with that first. Yeah, you still got to remember you've got a profitability model that the mega agent is hitting, or the business owner, I should say, the corporation owner is hitting. And so you got to work within those profitability numbers as well to make sure you're getting that. And that's why I like to have that mega agent running as hard as I can and then hiring to that next level, All right. Let's see. You should be doing the training because you're replacing yourself. That's exactly right. Yes. You are replacing yourself. Now, you're not working yourself out of a job. You're just working yourself up to a greater opportunity. Remember that. You're not working yourself out of a job. You're working yourself to a greater opportunity. All right. Hire a virtual assistant to start with. So you have to be careful with this one because when you're running 90 miles an hour and you go out there and you hire a virtual assistant, if I came in and my file looks like this, and I need to scan it to the virtual assistant to manage some of that paperwork, I got to get it all organized, and I got to scan it to myself, and I got to send an email, those kind of things to the virtual assistant, tell them what we need to get done, if there's any specific requirements with this one or anything. And so I always like to say your first assistant is in-house. Your second assistant may be a virtual assistant. Your first assistant is in-house because it will be a big, big help for you here. Scrolling down through here, let's see. Talked about virtual assistant. You can pay per closing. Be careful on your pay per closing because as you scale, that pay per closing can be a huge, huge portion. When you should actually be hiring another person to help come in and support as well. So be careful with the pay per closing. I paid per closing for a while. I had a virtual assistant, or I had a closing coordinator in-house. I had to make a shift really, really quick because they left. And so I hired a company and paid them per transaction. And then from there, we brought it back in-house as soon as that contract was up and running. All right, let's see. Looks like several people in here have actually talked about, virtual assistants per transaction. There's some companies out there that will do that for you. I'm not here to recommend any companies. I mean, it looks like you are talking in between yourselves of how to get some help on that. There's even going to your broker and your broker in charge, your team leader in your office, and seeing if they know of somebody that's local that can help you as well on a per transaction to help you out of a pinch, those kind of things. Let's see, scrolling down. Let's see. The most effective way you found to hold agents accountable to the standards and systems. All right, that's a great question. And number one is not to put too much on them. All right, we've got a form that we use to fill out, and that form goes to our virtual assistant so that she can calculate the numbers. And it's a very simple form: dials, contacts, nurtures, agency agreements. That's it. Right? And everything has a drop down that we use in the Google form. It all has a drop down. You can actually even go to the website, right? We even created its own website so that they didn't have to remember a bunch of long numbers or even go and look for it in Google Forms. All they have to remember is, I think that one is leadgen at .jmmteam.com. And so, as you come through that, they don't have a huge domain to remember. And so it just makes it easy for them. And then the next thing is if the virtual assistant doesn't get the numbers, she comes in, she works Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And every day that she comes in, if she doesn't have that agent's number, she sends them a message. If she doesn't have that number, those agents' numbers by the middle of her work shift, she sends them another message. She doesn't have it by the end of her work shift. She's emailing them again saying, I got to have your numbers, and then copying one of the leadership on it as well. Okay? So take as much off of them as possible if you truly desire to make it as simple and easy for them to follow, and you'll be better off in that situation. All right. The other part too is having a clear what you're actually holding them accountable to. Make sure that you're clear on that, so that if they don't have a clear standard and they truly don't know what the standard is, well, your mega agent may be a little wishy-washy on getting a standard. Make them get a standard out there. Get them a standard so that there is a true standard. Now, when it comes to holding them accountable to the systems, the easiest way to do that is to actually have your mega agent running the systems and testing the systems before you actually go live with the buyer's agent. Some of you may already be past that, and it's a challenge. And so you've got to get buy-in. You got to get buy-in from everybody that this is going to help them speed up, and then holding them accountable. And sometimes it's holding checks and not processing documents until we get the systems followed. I know we hate to go that route. Yet sometimes that's just the way it is. We have to do it to get our paperwork filled out and get everybody running on the fastest level they can. How can we watch this webinar again? So this webinar is being recorded. I'm crossing my fingers that everything has stored in the cloud, and I will be able to email it out to everybody. So hopefully that should all work. I'm not promising anything yet, being that this is the first one, yet we're hoping to get it all done. Let's see, how many deals would you say an admin should be able to handle? All right, this is a great question. It's one that comes up all the time. All right, so how many deals can an agent handle? Well, in my state, the contract used to be 6 pages, and my closing coordinator didn't negotiate repairs. So they could maintain a pretty high level. Some of your state's contracts may be upwards of 12, 15 pages. And so if you're looking at 12, 15 pages worth of contracts, and you got due diligence versus, repair request, and you've got earnest money versus, due diligence money, and it may slow them down. It may slow them down. So you have to look at your business and make the determination based on your business and how many hours they're putting in and how many hours of that are focused, and then be prepared to hire when you've got to hire. Yeah, see, somebody just posted, said 13 pages and handle repairs as well as negotiate offers. That person's not going to be able to handle 48 transactions at one time. 38 pending, coordinate, and how many listings are you putting on the market every single, and what's your marketing plan? So you really got to answer that for individual teams, and that's sitting down with your mega agent and actually going through that and having that conversation and being on the same page. Let me give you a little bit of an idea. I'm going to leave you with a book to check out. It's called Rocket Fuel. It talks about the visionary and the integrator. And when you got a visionary is probably your mega agent. And your mega agent, they're running 90 miles an hour, hair on fire, and entrepreneurial is all get out, right? You're like having to control them and going, I need this document filled out. I know that because that's me, by the way. And so the other person may actually be a visionary, and an integrator. You may be the actual integrator. And you take all these great ideas that this visionary can come up with, and you actually put them into practice and implement them. And there's a document in there, a process, an exercise to go through called the role buckets, ROLE buckets. And when you are a role bucket, and everybody has a bucket and who's responsible for that bucket, and then there may be several people filling that bucket, yet one person is ultimately responsible for it. And it really can help kind of clarify that. Yes, I love that. Rocket Fuel is a validating book. Somebody posted in here and said, as a read as an admin, because you're not just an admin. I hate that word just. I actually had people I have people on my team that they have the word just with a circle around it and a line through it because I'm just calling. No, you're not just calling. You are calling, right? And so you are not just an admin. You are a powerful admin. You are a powerful admin. So nobody calls himself just anything. All right. And Rocket Fuel is a great validation as an integrator of the business. All right. So we run expansions across multiple states, and I run everything. And I'm always curious as to where other people see the max. We are in Florida, Michigan. Florida is 12 pages and Michigan is 2 to 6 pages. Yeah, there is no max. It's no max. There's no minimum. It is where it is. And I mean, I've heard agents that they were stressed at 19 transactions and had to hire an admin. And I've heard agents that they were stressed at 58 transactions and had to hire an admin. See, there is no max. It's what works for you. It's what works for you. I'm the director of operations. Nothing operates without me. That's exactly right, ladies and gentlemen. This world does not turn around without director of operations and admin and integrators. Because there are so many, you can come up with all the ideas in the world, and if you don't have somebody to implement them, you're going nowhere. You're going nowhere. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. If there's no other questions, I'm going to jump off of here. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to send out your email tonight with your homework on it, the link for your homework, and then I'll also include all the other documents as well. And I'll see you next Wednesday. I'll be in a different space. I'm in Washington, D.C., and so we'll be actually doing this from Washington, D.C. next week. Honored and awesome to be with all of you today. Go out there, crush it, and keep making it happen.